good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's Mucking Fonday. Did you have a good weekend? Did you make sure not to doom scroll through the news? Because we're doing it for you. We've got a lot of news stories here from the weekend and today to keep you updated with what's going on in the world. This is the first and only international game show, Before Coffee, a father and daughter podcast where we look up our stories right before we started. We've just got caffeine in our body and we're learning to read and speak live on stream. Let's get into those mucking headlines and roll that segue wheel. Today on Mucking Fonday. Office issues fresh snow and ice weather warning for a large part of the UK after 30 days of rain relents. Plus, Madagascar's natural disaster, a cyclone, more than 30 dead. The country's second largest city, 75% destroyed.
And greetings on Mucking Fonday, where we have schools in America canceling their yearbooks over Epstein-connected billionaire, and Russia killed Navalny, according to the UK.
Shares and cryptocurrencies will be taxed differently from 2028 in the Netherlands. This is what will change. Plus, British Museum removes the word Palestine from exhibits after pro-Israel pressure. Let's just erase history. Wouldn't be the first time.
You look at old maps, it says Palestine on it. It's an actual place. And also United States and Tennessee. We've talked about this before. 41 DUI arrests were dismissed because the cop was just writing tickets to everybody. And in the United States, we have the SAVE Act, which is voter suppression, doesn't solve any problem. There never was a problem to begin with.
In my culture news and Black History Month news, she dared to be difficult. How Toni Morrison shaped the way we think, by Namueli Sapelli.
And it's National Almond Day. That's right. It's a salute to all those fine people that work in Hershey, Pennsylvania, making them Hershey bars. All those fine workers making Hershey bars with and without nuts. It is February 16th, 2026, and Before Coffee. All those fine workers making chocolate bars.
Hershey, I haven't had Hershey's in a long time, but supposedly, now that I've had European chocolate, it's supposed to taste like vomit to me.
Oh, is that right?
That's what a lot of Europeans say. They put it in their mouth and like, oh God, it's disgusting. How do people eat this? But I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe they're eating vomit over there a lot, so they know what it tastes like, right? I don't know.
Nah, they just think it tastes disgusting. I don't know.
Vomit,
I can't speak on it because I haven't had a Hershey bar in a very long time, so.
You know, that's the old saying. This tastes like shit. Well, I've never eaten shit before, so I'll take your word for it. That's what you say. So.
Let's roll our segue wheel for our first stories. Segue. This is the segue song. It's sarcasm.
Segues all over the place. We've already done that.
Our favorite thing to do, be sarcastic here on Before Coffee. And we got plenty of it. Our first story.
Weekends are for me.
Is coming out of the UK. This is from Shahina Uddin on The Independent. The Met Office has issued a fresh snow and ice warning for large parts of the UK. A yellow weather warning for snow and ice has been issued in central Tayside and Fife, Grampian Highlands, Elaine Sear, Orkney, Shetland, and Strathclyde. The alert is set to commence at 3 p.m. Monday, so it's already commenced now, and lasts until 10 a.m. Tuesday. So from the 16th to the 15th, Watch out for ice and snow. Rain, sleet, and snow are predicted to spread southeastwards across Scotland at times throughout today, the 15th of February, afternoon and night. 2 more yellow weather warnings have been issued for ice in Northern Ireland, Central Tayside, and 5 in East Midlands, east of England, northeast England, northwest England, southwest Scotland, Lothian borders, Strathclyde, West Midlands, Yorkshire, and Humber. Just everywhere. Just everywhere on the east side. This warning will take place from 8 p.m., so in an hour from now, on the 15th of February, and remains until 10 a.m. tomorrow on the 16th of February. The Met Office has warned that snowy, wintry weather can cause travel disruptions, with railways, bus, and train services likely to be affected with longer journey times due to the dangerous conditions and icy surfaces on the road. The National Forecasting Service has advised drivers to keep themselves and others safe by planning their route and giving themselves extra time to make their journey. Additionally, people are advised to check for road closures or delays, public transport, and amend plans if necessary. The accumulated snow will initially hit hills, typically above 200 meters elevation, but later in the day fall to lower levels at times. And then it's just like the entirety of eastern UK, so from the north of Scotland all the way to the east coast and Midlands of England, and then a lot of ice in Ireland as well, actually, in Northern Ireland, which is technically on the east side of Ireland. So further scattered wintry showers will arrive from the northwest later in the night into tomorrow on the 16th of February. The greatest accumulation of snow will be during this evening and night, where 1 to 2 centimeters will be possible in places at low levels away from the north-facing coast, and 2 to 5 centimeters above about 150 elevation, and 5 to 8 centimeters above 300. So if you're on a mountain, you're going to get 8 centimeters maximal they're expecting. With temperatures falling below freezing, ice is likely on untreated surfaces, even where precipitation may have fallen or as rain or sleet, because it will get cold and turn to ice. That's how that works. A few isolated lightning strikes will be additional hazards, according to the Met Office. They said strong north to northwesterly winds are also probable during Monday evening and night across the Northern Isles and northeastern parts of the mainland, where gusts in the more exposed areas could reach 50 to 60 miles per hour. So it's just rolling across from east to west, getting stuck on that mountain range that goes in between England. That's why only half the Midlands is being affected, because that mountain is actually blocking the West Midlands from getting any of this gust. And it's going to be ice.
Appalachian blocking it.
Yeah. It's a very similar thing to the Appalachians. In Northern Ireland, showers through the course of Monday will leave...
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done.
No, not yet. Sorry, I was just doing a hand motion to explain how wind works. In Northern Ireland, showers through the course of Monday will leave many surfaces wet by the evening, with a risk of ice forming on untreated roads, pavements during Monday night as temperatures fall to a below freezing. A few additional wintry showers may feed inland at time overnight, potentially washing off treatment before skies once again clear and surface temperatures drop. As in, it's gonna sweep all that salt away, and then it won't stop the freeze. Across the parts of the country that the Met has said areas of rain, sleet, and hail snow will move southeastward through Monday evening and night before clearing to the North Sea. While some patchy accumulation of snow will be possible, more especially on ground above 150 to 200 meters elevation, ice will be a greater hazard as temperatures fall fairly quickly once showers clear away. In addition, a period of strong northwesterly winds are also likely among the North Sea coast later in the night and into Tuesday morning. And the reason I'm talking about this news is because the UK just suffered from like 2 or 3 weeks of just rain. A lot of villages flooded. There's probably still half underwater, or soaked at least, and now that all is going to turn to ice. So the UK is going through it, and I would like to thank the UK for blocking all this terrible weather from the Netherlands, because, fun fact, that's what it does. The UK is like a buffer zone for a lot of the Netherlands weather, so they take all the brunt of it, and then we just have a light snowing, because that's what happened yesterday. Actually, we had a light snowing, nothing, and not a lot of rain. I think it did just rain now, actually, but there's your news on the weather in the UK.
Okay, so of course London's natural response to this is to burn more coal. Because I don't know. Reason I'm saying I was watching The Crown, and it's going the day that the post-war fog crisis, where Winston Churchill was like, "This fog is nothing. We always have fog in London. Burn more coal." Like, yeah, dumbasses. Anyway, that was my sarcasm.
Get that smog rolling. In my next story, let's talk about the terrible cyclone that just swept through Madagascar. This is on Liberation, coming from AFP as well. Wind gusts of 250 kilometers an hour swept through Tasmania, devastating the port city of 400,000 inhabitants, Madagascar authorities announced on February 11th. In total, 250,000 people have been affected. The winds raged across the Red Island. At least 31 people died in Madagascar when Cyclone Gazani struck the country's second largest city, Tasmania, on Tuesday evening. So this is last week. But they finally got the numbers of what actually happened, which was the 10th? Yes, the 10th of February. Malagasy authorities announced on the February 11th, what happened is a catastrophe. Nearly 75% of the city of Tasmania has been destroyed, declared Colonel Michael Randrianrina, the island's strongman, speaking to reporters. Gusts of 250 kilometers an hour ravaged the port of nearly 400,000 inhabitants, where 4 people are also still missing and 36 others seriously injured, according to a provisional report from the National Office for Risk and Disaster Management, BNGRC. Videos shared by the presidency show Michael Randrianrina wading through the flooded streets of the port city. He had preemptively traveled to Tasmania to show his support for the population for months after the military takeover. In the images, this verdant city, also known as Tamatave, its former name under French colonial rule, appears devastated. Its streets are littered with hundreds of trees uprooted by a cyclone that has left more than 250,000 people homeless, according to authorities. An aerial video shared by BNGRC shows corrugated iron roofs ripped open as far as the eye can see, and palm trees on Independence Avenue knocked down like matchsticks. These scenes raise fears of a heavy human toll on this island, where the vast majority of dwellings consist of precarious walls, 71.9%, according to official statistics from 21. Namely, essentially built with stems or barks or leaves, and unbaked brick or beaten earth. Ooh, unbaked brick? That's a terrible combination for water. It's total chaos. 90% of the roofs of the houses have blown off, either completely or partially, describes Rija Narisoa, a regional manager for the NGO Action Against Hunger. The roads are completely inaccessible due to fallen trees and corrugated iron sheets. Cars can't get through. The Regional Specialized Meteorological Center, RSMC, on the French island of Réunion, described it in its bulletin one of the most intense direct impacts of the satellite era on the Tamatave area, probably rivaling that of Geralda in February of 1994, which is when I was born. The cyclone caused at least 200 deaths and left 500,000 people homeless in 1994. So this is very similar, less death toll, thankfully, but half of those people are also homeless today. While commercial flights to and from Tasmania Airport have been suspended, airport management has stated that the humanitarian and military flights are, of course, permitted. 15 members of the Armed Forces Civil Protection Service have been deployed to assist with rescue operations, authorities announced. Appointed president of Refoundation of the country after the fall of ex-president Andry Rajoelina in October, Michael Randrianrina said on Wednesday, the 11th of February, he was launching an appeal for help from our international partners and donors. The current situation exceeds the capacity of Madagascar alone. The depression weakened slightly weakens significantly upon making landfall, but continues to cross the island from east to west. Even downgraded to a tropical storm, it still poses a risk of flooding. Gazani is expected to regain intensity as it enters the Mozambique Channel and then become a cyclone, according to the Regional Specialized Meteorological Center, RSMC. It should strike the south of the southern African country, already devastated by severe flooding since the beginning of the year. Since Geraldo in 1994, Geralté in January 1997, 152 dead, 60,000 homeless, and Gafilo in 2004, 241 dead and more than 3,000 affected, had proven particularly deadly. So, sadly, I guess they're used to it in a way. But this seems like this is improvement. I mean, of course, when it comes to disasters like this, a lot of people die after the fact from having no house. You know, getting all sorts of diseases and infections because they are drinking dirty water and they can't get clean food. So hopefully people are already there helping to relieve the pressure from this disaster. And that's my story.
Okay, well, you said there's some guy there named a Strongman. You said there's Strongman, somebody or something or other. Strongman, you described him, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah, instead of the mayor or the president, he's the strong man of the country. That's what they said, yeah.
Okay, what does one do to train for such a job as strongman? Is there a trade school? Is it university? Is there a strongman apprentice program? That's my sarcasm. Strong.
Yeah,
I'm a
I guess so.
man. No, you're not. You're some jackass.
I've decided to take leadership of the country.
The jackass a lot of guns. That's basically what I do. There's no such thing as a strong man apprentice program. Hopefully. Maybe they have it in prison.
Okay, we've got our next segue. Rolling the next segue, yeah.
I forgot the story. Okay.
It is. It's going to be sarcasm again, but now I'm going to sarcasm you.
Okie dokie. I forgot my stories, but we'll see. Let's see. I forget which one I was doing first. Let's do the schools canceling shit. Life Touch. This is from WFSB. It's like a local TV station in somewhere in the United States, and I really wish my phone would stop making that noise. I put my phone way the hell over here now, so it's nowhere near the mic. WFSB, Associated Press actually has the story. So there we are, Associated Press. I don't know if WFSB puts their name on it because it's on their website, but it's actually Associated Press. John Hanna, Kendria LaFleur. This is Texas is actually so the TV station in Connecticut is referencing a story from AP that their byline is Texas. Some school districts in the U.S. dropped plans for class pictures after widespread social media posts linked to a billionaire with ties to Jeffrey Epstein, the photography giant Life Touch, which on Friday called the claims completely false. I don't think they're completely false, folks. The disruption to school picture plans in Texas and elsewhere began after online posts linked Life Touch, which photographs millions of students each year, to the investment fund manager Apollo Global Management. Apollo's former CEO is billionaire investor Leon Black. I gotta go to all these great extent to protect his identity. I'm in paragraph 4, and they give us like crap, and they give it his name. Let's just say Leon Black, a scumbag, was molesting children. I mean, allegedly. We can say allegedly, but he's all over the files. I don't know what the hell to say about that. I'm not in the files. I was a grown adult for all of that time. I'm not in the files. I have completely... If I'm in the files, I would really like to know why, right? This guy's in there for molesting children, and that's a fact, because I read the freaking diary, so... Let's get on with it. Black led the company in 2019, which is 7 years ago, when funds managed by Apollo bought Life Touch's parent company, Shutterfly. The $2.7 billion deal closed in 2019, a month after Epstein's death by suicide. Behind bars, and he awaited trial over allegations from federal prosecutors that he sexually abused and trafficked dozens of girls. Both Life Touch and Apollo noted that that timeline in statements Friday, 2 days after Life Touch, it has nothing to do with, okay, Jeffrey Epstein dying does not make Leon Black not a pedo anymore. He's still one, okay? You understand that part. He's still a pedo, whether somebody else died or not. It has nothing to do with Life Touch acquired it later. You're collecting pictures of young children, folks. I just want to know why people don't want these. Yeah, you're collecting young, like kindergarten, right? And I can't wait to see all them pictures on AI because Life Touch is, a bunch of freaking, I don't know what they are, right? I don't know what anybody is anymore. It seems to me that billionaires are just there to steal our children and turn them into sex slaves. And that's basically all I can see them. Their only function in life, because they don't actually serve a function in economics. There's no economic principle that says there has to be billionaires. It doesn't exist. No Life Touch executives have ever had any relationship or contact with Epstein. We never shared student images with any third party, including Apollo. Life Touch said in a statement on Friday. Apollo and its funds have also no role in Life Touch's daily operations and have no access to student images. Okay, means nothing to me. The canceled school pictures are another ripple effect over the release of millions of files to Epstein investigations, including documents showing Epstein's regular contacts with CEOs, journalists, scientists, and prominent politicians logged their 2008 conviction on sex crime charges. In a small Texas town of Malakoff, the local school district canceled the student picture day after several parents told the district they weren't comfortable with Life Touch photographing their children. I don't even know this company stays in business, quite frankly. You can take your own pictures. I've always been baffled how Life Touch gets these exclusive deals to take pictures at your school. I've never trusted that. What are they doing in the background? Anyway, we decided our students and families would be the best served by keeping all our pictures in-house for the rest of the years, and we're looking through all of our options for the 26-27 school year. Parents concerned about Life Touch included Macaulay Gan, whose children attended schools in Howe, about 60 miles and 97 kilometers north of Dallas. She said she's worried about how much information Life Touch collects on students. Again, I just don't even see the purpose of this company anymore. What purpose do they serve? Everybody's got a camera on their phone. Put it on a tripod, take a picture of your kid, send it to the frickin' yearbook. There's my picture of my kid. End of story. Life Touch is it's just a cash cow. That's all it is. It's just a cash cow. It doesn't serve any purpose. There's your quick story on Life Touch being boycotted by parents, and I would continue that boycott just simply for the fact that what the hell do they even do anyway? They don't do anything. They take a picture of your kid. Big fucking deal. I can do that. Anybody can do that. There's a local photographer that can do it. I don't even see why Life Touch is even a thing anymore. But let's have us a sarcasm about the old pervs in the Epstein file, I guess.
I am so glad we have monopolies in the United States where you're forced to use one specific company for everything because they're the only one who do it anymore. I'm sure there's other companies out there.
You don't even need a company. Like I said, what do you need? All you need is somebody with a camera. You don't even have to develop.
Hire a local photographer to take your school photos. Exactly. Not only that, every high school is a photography club. Yeah, just have them do it for their final project or something, or their mid.
Yeah, if it's a grade school, you go over to the local high school and say, "Hey, can your photography club do our pictures?" And they say, "Yeah, we'll do it for a fee." No, I'm just saying. It'll probably save you a lot of money. Anyway, it's a boondoggle. Life Touch has always been a boondoggle. I hate that company. Yeah. I hate the fact that it even exists. Even before this, I saw no purpose for it. We got to give us $50 for pictures. Why? $50? Come on, man. Okay, let's have our next story.
That's insane.
Let's talk about
next story.
I know. Let's talk about the Russian opposition leader who was killed. Let's do that. We know this guy, Alexei Navalny. We always suspected that Russia murdered him, and now we pretty much have confirmation from the UK intelligence services. BBC.com. Adam Goldsmith has it. Russia killed opposition leader. It is.
Yeah.
Still doing it?
Well, it's doing it randomly. It's not doing it now.
Okay,
now it's doing it again.
I'm gonna disconnect my camera for a second. Plug it into the other jack. Getting on with our other story, if I'm there. We're going to talk about Russia Opposition leader Alexei Navalny's death last year, I think it was.
Yeah.
Fairly recently. It's from Adam Goldsmith of BBC.com. Alexa thinks I'm talking to her. Shut your pile, Alexa. All right. I will not say his first name again, all right, just so you know. Russian opposition leader Navalny was killed in a poison developed from a dart frog toxin, the UK and European allies have said. 2 years, it's been 2 years now. And we've known about him being basically the only guy that had the nerve to run against Putin once upon a time. Nerve. 2 years on from the death of Navalny at a Siberian penal colony. He was in jail for having the wrong politics, by the way. Britain and its allies have blamed the Kremlin following analysis of material samples found on the body. Speaking from the Munich Security Conference, Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said only the Russian government had the means, motive, and opportunity to use the poison while Navalny was in prison in Russia. Of course they killed him. According to the TASS news agency, Moscow has dismissed the finding as an information campaign. But Cooper said there is no explanation for the toxin called epibadidine being found. While Cooper announced the findings, a joint statement was issued by UK, Sweden, France, Germany, and the Netherlands. Cooper met with Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalnaya, at the conference this weekend. Russia saw Navalny as a threat, Cooper said at the event. By using his form of poison, the Russian state demonstrated the despicable tools it has disposed and overwhelming fear it has of political opposition. In a statement, the ally said only the Russian state had the means, motive, and opportunity to deploy the lethal toxin to target Navalny during its imprisonment in Russia, a penal colony in Siberia, and we hold it responsible for his death. Epibadidine can be found naturally in dart frogs in the wild of South America. Dart frogs in captivity do not produce this toxin. It is not found naturally in Russia. There is no innocent explanation for its presence in Navalny's body. The Foreign Office of the UK has informed the organization of the prohibition of chemical weapons and of Russia's alleged breach of Chemical Weapons Convention. Praising Navalny's huge courage, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said his determination to expose the truth has left an enduring legacy. I'm doing whatever it takes to defend our people, our values, and our way of life from the threat of Russia and Putin's murderous intent, he added. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said his country pays tribute to Navalny, who he suggested was killed for his fight in favor of free and democratic Russia. Navalny, an anti-corruption campaigner and Russia's most vociferous opposition leader, died suddenly in jail 16 February 2024, 2 years ago today, at the age of 47. In 2020, he was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent. He underwent treatment in Germany. He was arrested at the airport on his return to Russia. At epibadidine, so I accidentally closed everything. Let's get it back. Epibadidine, a toxin the UK and its European allies have said was used to kill Navalny, was at first derived from a group of poisoned dart frogs native to northern South America, or southern North America. No, northern South America. Though epibadidine has previously been investigated as a painkiller for relief from painful inflammatory conditions in the lungs, it has been deemed too toxic to use clinically. Speaking to the BBC, Russian toxicology expert Jill Johnson said it was 200 times more potent than morphine. By acting on receptors in the central nervous system, it can cause muscle twitching and paralysis, seizures, slow heart rate, respiratory failure, and finally death. So it's a toxin from a frog that killed our friend and our friend in the struggle against Putin and his bullshit. And I won't say his first name because Amazon has a AI assistant that doesn't know the difference between names for some reason. Okay, so there's your story. Let's have some sarcasm about, oh boy, he died of natural causes. It was a frog, right? Anyway.
I mean, whatever you say, sure, that's totally what happened.
Frogs are natural? A frog jumped in a cell. A frog was just hanging out in Siberia, way far away from the tropics.
You know, I mean, every time I go to bed, I'm always checking my poisonous frog under my bed. Everyone knows you have one under your pillow. So, I mean, if you don't have one, I guess you're just not at the same level of me. My poisonous frog.
I have poisonous frog netting over my bed, so I don't get through it.
Everyone is
mosquito net,
born
even
with
bigger.
that. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where it was like, it's like the choose this or choose this, and one of it, like, press the red button. You have $1 billion, but there's a snail somewhere in the world who's always coming after you, and if it touches it, it kills you. Have you ever heard this meme before? There's like a snail somewhere, and it's always coming at. If it touches you, you die instantly. But you have $1 billion. That's the trade-off, right? A lot of people are like, "I'll take that deal. I'm not scared of no slug or no snail chasing after me." But that reminds me of how it's just like everyone has that one snail chasing after you, and if it touches it, kills you. Everyone has a poisonous frog when they're born. You get popped out, and they're like, "Here's a poisonous frog. Lick this if you want to die in
You
the
mixed the
gulag."
metaphor. Oh, you read it.
Lick
You
this
decided
if
to
you
mix a
want.
metaphor. All right.
All right, let's roll our next
Everybody has a
segue.
poisonous frog waiting for him. Right.
Take care of your poisonous frogs, everyone.
Everybody has an Achilles heel, in other words, right?
We've got alliteration
Achilles
headline
only
for my next stories. This section is going to be about, I don't know. First one is going to be about taxes.
Alliteration.
Everyone loves taxes, right? We love paying taxes for stuff. But there are some people,
Really?
rich people, who have not been paying taxes on their shares in cryptocurrencies. And now the Netherlands just passed a law that from 2028, they're going to be taxing that differently. Let's actually read the whole news, because I've only seen the headlines where they're like, "Yeah, taxing those stupid people who are hiding all their money in cryptocurrency," or whatever. This is on NOS News. Outgoing State Secretary Heinen, Tax and Customs Administration, will today answer the very last questions about the new tax system for savings, stocks, cryptocurrencies, and second homes. After years of debate and delays, the House of Representatives will approve the new wealth tax next week. Woo! Wealth taxes! I love wealth taxes for people who have wealth. Some 3.4 million Dutch people who save and invest will notice this from 28 onwards. They will have to keep track of more paperwork and will have to deal with tax authorities differently. What exactly will change and why? Here are the most important questions and answers. Why was it overhauled? To simplify the taxation of returns, the Dutch Tax and Customs Administration has used a single estimated fictitious return for everyone for years since 2001. However, the Supreme Court overturned this method in 2021 because it was disadvantageous for some people, especially people who save money. They earned less than the Dutch Tax and Customs Administration had calculated. So I think the idea here is, I don't understand this at all. So they used, since 2001, they've estimated a fictitious return for everyone. And some people were actually getting taxed more than they actually made, according to this fictitious return estimate. Since then, politicians have been searching for a new way to tax wealth. This has proven complicated, primarily because political parties have very different views on the matter. And reminder, there's at least 34 political parties in the Netherlands, so they all have different opinions on the smallest of matters. Politicians agree that the actual return must be calculated, but the parties differ on how exactly it should be calculated and what is fair. Parties like D66, which is currently the largest majority in the representatives, and especially GroenLinks, PVDA, which is the also Democratic plus Green Party. Oh, sorry, I think the leftists. The leftists and the Green Party combo party are more in favor of a wealth tax. This means you pay tax every year on the profit you've made, even if that profit is still tied up in, for example, shares. The downside is that people have to pay taxes annually on money they don't have in their hands. For this reason, parties like the VVD, which is the far-right anti-immigrant party, the CDA, the Christian Democrat Party, the PVV, which is, I mixed them up. The VVD is the right party, conservatives. PVV is the far-right anti-immigrants, J21, and the BBB, which is for farmers, advocate for a capital gains tax, where you only pay tax when you sell your shares or cryptocurrencies, for example. The downside of this message is that taxpayers can indefinitely postpone the sale to avoid paying taxes. Exactly. What did politics ultimately lead to? It is often the case the House of Representatives has agreed to a compromise. You pay tax on the returns on savings and investments every year, capital gains tax, and for a second home or shares in startups, you only pay tax to the tax authority upon sale, a capital gain tax again. The new system will make filing tax returns considerably more complex. Starting in 2028, people have to track returns for multiple categories such as stocks, cryptocurrencies, and second homes. Is this the end of the matter? No. Because the House of Representatives, no one is really happy with the new system.
Tax consultants got to pay bills too, you know.
Sorry?
I said tax consultants got to pay bills too, you know. Every new tax law gives them a new thing, right? Hey,
yeah,
I'm a tax
that's
lawyer.
true.
I'm a tax accountant.
Political parties call the bill bizarrely bad, the PVV, which they can't even run a government, so what do they know? And needlessly complex, Christian Union, because, I don't know, churches, but simultaneously say they have no other option than to agree to it. Yeah, because you don't have the majority, assholes. This is because the Treasury is currently losing 2.4 billion euros annually due to the patchy way in which taxes are currently collected on box 3 income, which is just like additional income. Not at your job, but just additional income. If the new system is postponed again, the state will lose out on this revenue for even longer. Besides concerns about the system's complexity, members of the House of the Representatives also fear that new issues will arise after 28. For example, people could face financial difficulties if they have to pay tax on shares they can't easily sell. Well, time to sell them now or figure that out. You got 2 years to figure out what to do with your shares. Is that not enough time? I don't have any shares, but I feel like that's enough time for you to decide. The new taxation method for Box 3 is being called an interim step by almost all parties. The newly formed coalition of D66, VVD, and CDA wants a system of full capital gains tax, according to the coalition agreement. Implementing this will be a challenge. The collect taxes only on the sale of shares and cryptocurrencies. The Tax and Customs Administration needs to adapt its own systems. This is challenging as the agency is still deeply involved in various IT modernization projects. How do we really know what people are doing with their cryptocurrencies? You need access to all that data from somewhere and put it somewhere and then look at it. Meanwhile, the new cabinet will also have its hands full resolving all the problems related to Box 3 tax in recent years. An estimated 2 million people who overpaid tax still need compensation. Meanwhile, they have 2.4 euro loss every year. So that's right. What the thing we've been saying and then the leftists have been saying for a long time, hey, you're running out of taxes? Have you tried taxing the wealthy? Maybe? Those guys that have a lot of money? People, reminder, the Netherlands has a housing crisis and there's people with 2 houses. And they're not getting taxed for that.
Yeah.
So...
your property taxes on your second home should be like 5 times your original home.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the alliteration headline should read for this. Cryptocurrencies called corrupt capital, causing concern.
Indeed, causing quite an concern.
That's not really money I made until I cash it in. And then when they cash it in, they do some freaking trick where you can't tax it then either. Because rich people write all the tax laws. Yeah. Yay, being rich and not having to pay for anything ever. Yeah. These are the same roads we use. These are the same everything we use. The same airports, the same ports. All that stuff's supported by tax dollars. Don't fool yourself.
But I can afford to invest $10,000 in a startup. I shouldn't be taxed for that. Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
If you have $10,000 laying around and you can invest in a company, you should probably pay some taxes on it.
All the stupid people in the world. I think only billionaires create jobs. It just gives me. It's like, you don't have to be a billionaire to create jobs. I can be a thousandaire and create jobs. It doesn't make
yeah, exactly. I can invest 1,000 in a company and help create jobs. British Museum, new story.
I can have absolutely no money whatsoever and start a company, right?
And
it's called
the
a loan.
constant fun
business, I can pay my loan off. It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
In the constant drama of the British Museum existing and continuing to be the shittiest museum, I think, on the planet. They have removed the word Palestine from information panels and galleries following pressure from a group of UK lawyers for Israel because, God forbid, we tell history correctly. That's dangerous. This is on The New Arab by Amir Sultan. The British Museum has removed the term Palestine from informational panels, labels, and maps in the Middle East galleries following pressure from a pro-Israel group. The changes were not previously publicly announced. They mark a shift from the museum's previous position in which it strongly defended the use of the term Palestine, stating that it is well established in Western and Middle Eastern scholarship as a geographical designation for a historical region. The decision is expected to cause controversy and resentment, including among the British Museum staff. Around 250 employees signed a petition last June calling on the museum's director, Nicholas Cullinan, and the board of trustees to sever ties with Israel cultural institutions in a protest of the genocidal war on Gaza. The petition followed a secret event hosted by the museum last May to mark the anniversary of the creation of Israel, which coincides with the Nakba of 1948, in which hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were ethnically cleansed from their land by Zionist militias. Protesters accused the museum's management of promoting Israel while it's killing Palestinians in Gaza and marginalizing the Palestinian narrative. Yeah, we have a lot of money. We can pay UK lawyers for Israel to basically sue you to hell so we can change history. The UK Lawyers for Israel wrote to Cullinan on the 7th of February, warning about the continued use of the term Palestine, warning, "Who the fuck are you?" in exhibitions relating to the ancient Middle East. In its letter, the pro-Israel group raised what it described as serious concerns that using Palestine for ancient historical periods was anachronistic. Well, I mean, that's the British Museum for you. This is the one time the British Museum could have been anachronistic and everyone would have agreed with them, and they decided to back out. It claimed that referring to the region as Palestine in maps covering 1795 BC to 33-2 BC was historically inaccurate because the region was known as Canaan and later included the kingdoms of Israel, Judah, Philistia, and Phoenicia. The group also objected to describing biblical figures and ancient Israelites as originating from Palestine. You can have your rant after I'm done doing the article, saying that they retroactively applied a later name. They claimed that Palestinian term distorts the historical record and obscures the history of Israel and the Jewish people. Well, it wasn't called Israel, actually. It was called Philistia and Phoenicia and Judah and Canaan, actually. Anyways, UKLFI further argued that the museum's curatorial choices could potentially breach the Equality Act of 2010, which prohibits harassment related to protected characteristics, including race, religion, and philosophical belief. The organization has a history of harassing pro-Palestinian activists and institutions, which highlights issues related to Palestine and Palestinians. It criticized the display of a mid-20th century doll labeled as wearing Palestinian traditional dress in ancient Levant gallery, saying that this can imply inaccurate cultural continuity. According to a letter seen by the New Arab, the museum confirmed that it had begun reviewing and updating certain panels on a case-by-case basis. In an email, the museum confirmed that a letter was sent to the UK LFI by its head of strategic communications. While acknowledging that Palestine remains a well-established geographical term, the museum stated that it is not, in some circumstances, no longer meaningful. It said that its audience testing had informed the decision. In Egypt galleries, some terminology has already been updated, with Palestinian descent, for example, replaced with Canaanite descent. That's fair. Ancient Egypt was a long time ago when Canaan was the country there. So I can accept that. The museum claimed the change was intended to describe in more detail the history of Canaan and the Canaanites, as well as the rise of the Kingdom of Judah and Israel, using historically specific names. The museum pledged to continue making modifications, noting that in the Egyptian galleries, labels in case panels can be revised relatively quickly. They can also say something like this: in modern-day Israel and Palestine, is what the words they can use, right? Canaan, which is modern-day Israel and Palestine, because that land is both of those places. Larger graphic panels and maps will require phased updates as part of the museum's long-term master plan. Due to the cost and logistical considerations, the work will be implemented over several years. The museum also indicated it will review references to rural Palestine on a panel describing dolls identified as originating from West Bank. UK LFI was founded in 2011 as an association of pro-Israel lawyers seeking to counter the boycott, divestment, and sanctions (BDS) movement against Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories. Choosing to be on the wrong side of history. Congratulations for you. It also aims to foster a supportive climate of opinion towards Israel in the United Kingdom and internationally by being dickheads. The UK LFI is currently under investigation by Solicitors Regulation Authority in England following a complaint alleging that its lawyers filed baseless legal proceedings against pro-Palestinian activists in order to intimidate them. Yep, that's what lawyers are for. I'm going to sue you. And you can't afford it. So you better stop saying stuff, or we're gonna sue you to hell and back. As far as I'm concerned, that's the only thing those kind of lawyers are for. And that's my story.
Okay. Palestinian, let's do this again. Palestine persists plainly, proudly, precise, proper name. Because I had no idea what they're mad about. Totally confused about what they're mad about. Who gives a shit?
Just erasure. Totally they're mad about erasure. They're worried that it's a slippery slope into completely removing the word Palestine from any of these places, and then once you delete the history of the word, then people are going to be like, Palestine doesn't exist, and then they agree with that determination. The Zionists keep saying that Palestine doesn't exist.
Okay, all right, so yeah. So what I was saying was, let's use a map that's inaccurate. What are you talking about? Freaking all maps before America was discovered are inaccurate because they thought the entire world was there, right? That little piece
was the Mediterranean, and that's it.
Inaccurate. All of them are inaccurate. Every goddamn one of them is inaccurate. You know why? Because they didn't know any better. You can call it Palestine if you want. I don't care what you call it. You can call it Swaziland. It doesn't matter. What does it matter to anybody? What does it matter to you, you gutless cowards? That's what they are, right away. Gutless cowards.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't the people dying. They aren't the people fighting. They're the gutless cowards that cause the problems.
Yeah. Trying to change history from the safety of the back line.
Little thing is wrong with the map. Let's start a war.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's roll our next segue for your stories. Segue time. It is. Reminds me of a song.
All right. Let me write that down so I don't forget. My second story. Yeah, speaking of malfeasance, we're going to talk about malfeasance all over the United States, which is basically the national pastime now. KPTD, this is 41, is probably a Tennessee radio station, I would imagine. 41 DUI arrests by a trooper dismissed after many drivers were deemed sober. We covered this a while ago. There was a lot of this going on. Again, judges want to raise money so they don't have to pay, so rich people don't pay taxes. So what happens is you're driving through Tennessee, they pull you over just to have an out-of-state plates, give you a drug test, say you failed, you got to pay a big fine that you're not going to dispute because you're not from Tennessee, so they got you. Yeah, that's how you raise money. So rich people, this is related to your last story, rich people avoiding taxes. 41, or your second to last story, your last segment anyway. Bedford County, Tennessee, 41 DUI arrests made by a single Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper in Bedford County have been dismissed, with 22 of those cases involving drivers who had no alcohol or drugs in their systems or were within legal limits. Yeah, but they all got thrown out, even a drunk one. You see what I'm saying? 19, it might have been drunk. We don't even know because this guy's such a crook. The dismissed cases were all involved arrests made by former trooper Asa Pearl, ASA is his first name, between 2021 and 2024, according to records obtained from Bedford County Clerk's Office. Pearl resigned from the Tennessee Highway Patrol in 24 with no reason given. Probably forced out. Ron LaFlame was among those arrested by Pearl for DUI despite having no substance in his system. I was surprised when he started asking me to do a sobriety test. LaFlame said it was a wrongful arrest. A spreadsheet compiled by Bedford County District Attorney's Office for WSMV4 radio, television station investigates shows the breakdown of the 41 dismissed cases. In 8 cases, including LaFlame's, drivers had neither drugs nor alcohol in their system. In 14 other cases, the driver's blood alcohol level was within legal limits. No drugs were found. The remaining 19 dismissed DUI cases were dropped for other reasons, including Pearl being unavailable for court and unavailable to call details of the arrests, according to the district attorney's office. Yeah, I don't remember all those people I had wrongfully arrested. David McKenzie, LaFlame's attorney, said word was spreading to be Bedford County about Pearl's DUI dismissal rate. I know that during that time, Ron's case was making its way through the court. Ron's case was not the only one with this particular trooper where blood results were coming back negative, McKenzie said. McKenzie, the lawyer. It tells me there was a systematic problem with who's doing on the side of the road. This could happen to your child. This could happen to your parent. This could happen to your coworker. This could happen to you. The 22 DUI arrests of sober drivers by a single trooper are the latest discovery in our sobering problem investigation. And there's a link. So they've been doing this. Good for you, TV station. Let's get rid of the corrupt police. Again, this is the only reason these fines, the only reason this stuff ever existed in the first place. The only reason traffic fines exist, the only reason parking fees exist in the first place are so rich people don't pay taxes. Don't fool yourself. They are not really a thing. They were invented by rich people. Parking fees? Get the fuck out of here. Pearl is the latest trooper discovered who has arrested multiple sober drivers for DUI. By far, the data shows that THB has made the most sober DUI arrests in Tennessee. Okay. Sober DUI arrests. Think of that word. Sober DUI arrests. Makes no sense. Only to cops does that make sense. Only in the world of police work where they invent crimes to charge you with does that make sense. The head of the THP told WSMV4 investigates that he's not believed the drivers who had neither drugs or alcohol in their system were sober. Yeah, okay. Did you hear that? The head of the Tennessee Highway Patrol told his television station that he does not believe the drivers who had neither drugs nor alcohol in their systems were sober. What were they then? They were sober. They were drunk on what? Power? They were drunk on power. That's what they were drunk on. Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a great metaphor for that.
A car that makes you drunk on power. Oh. He left his signal light on for 0.5 seconds too long. You must be drunk. Pearl's personal files show he resigned from Tennessee Highway Patrol in 2024. No reason given. The dismissed DUI case were not mentioned in his personnel file. Pearl did not respond to requests for comment. The Tennessee Highway Patrol did not respond for requests for comment. We're quoting McKenzie talking about this could happen to your parent, your child, or coworker. They quoted him twice saying the same thing in the same story. Just to reemphasize it, I guess. There's your story on the idiots in Tennessee, and I'm sure it's not just one. I know this isn't just one, but this is the one they're nailing for now. Let's have us a song about getting drunk and getting behind the wheel.
The song this reminds me of is I'm a highway star. That's what he thinks he is. He thinks that he's the hero. The highway hero. I'm gonna save everyone from all the drunk driving by just arresting everyone. I'll catch a drunk driver and save the world.
Your mic cut off when you started singing, so I didn't hear anything you said when you were singing. I was like,
what? I just said that he thinks he's the hero. He thinks he's the highway star.
Right.
Yeah. He thinks he's gonna save everyone from the drunk driving. So he just captures everyone.
Right on.
Yeah.
He ain't no hero. They have a quota system in the police forces and the highway patrols and all these places. They have a quota system. They have a book. If you don't fill out that book every month, you don't freaking get your bonus.
Yep.
It exists.
That's how it works.
It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And it's there so rich people don't pay taxes. It's the only reason it is. And again, the only reason traffic fines, the only reason parking fines, the only reason any of these things exist is so rich people don't have to pay taxes. They can waste your time in court and make you miss work and control your every minute of your life because we live in fascism in the United States.
Is that your only story?
No, I have another story.
Okay, great.
I have another story. This one is even more infuriating. If you think you're pissed off about Epstein, you think you're pissed off about the cops, so let's get pissed off about the Republicans trying to keep you from voting. But everybody's going to have ID to vote. Nope, I've never used ID to vote. I've never shown an ID to vote in my entire life. I've been voting since 1980, and I've never, ever shown an ID to vote, ever. And I never needed to because your signature has to match. And once somebody votes in your name, Nobody can vote in that name again. That would be fraud. And it doesn't happen that often. In fact, the only time it ever happens is Republicans. They're the ones that think it's a problem. Right. This is from nonprofitvote.com. Brian Miller, the SAVE Act is the wrong solution for a non-problem. That's right. Lawmakers are once again advancing proposals known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE Act, which is basically voter suppression, that would require Americans to present documentary proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. Yeah, you already have to do that in most states. That's not even a thing. The thing they're not actually talking about is the real bad part of this law. Versions of the SAVE Act passed the U.S. House of Representatives in April 25. Similar bills continue to be reintroduced and promoted in Congress. The SAVE Act on its surface requires proof of citizenship registering to vote in all federal elections. However, existing law already does that. All federal voter registration forms require registrants to affirm their citizenship under penalty of perjury, and credible studies consistently show that instances of non-citizens voting in federal elections are exceedingly rare. Instead of solving a real problem, the SAVE Act would have a disastrous effects on nonprofit voter registration efforts, election official workloads, and eligible voter across the nation. The SAVE Act would require all voters to provide. Alexa, I'm not talking to you, man. Why do you keep turning on? Man.
Please talk to me.
Like, say your name. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, have a cup of coffee and chill for a while, okay? The SAVE Act would require all voters to provide documentary proof of citizenship, a passport, a birth certificate, with a photo ID. In most cases, any time they register, update the registration. A real ID would not be acceptable. Yeah, real ID, the thing, your driver's license, is only proof of lawful residence, not citizenship. Holy fucking shit. Dude, if I'm not a citizen, throw up my ballot. And then
there you go.
Throw me in jail for voting illegally. Very fucking easy. You throw up ballots you think aren't illegal and you don't count them and you try to count them later. Pretty fucking simple. That's your solution. All this, let's make everybody get these special IDs before they can vote. Fucking bullshit, man. Poll tax is illegal. The 24th Amendment. Poll tax is illegal. In addition, the bill contemplates that proof of citizenship be presented in person with no clear allowance for online submission or mailing copies. As a result of these onerous requirements, tens of millions of people could be prevented from registering or updating their registration. According to research from the Brennan Center for Justice, over 21 million voting eligible citizens do not have ready access to documentary proof of citizenship, such as passport or birth certificate. These barriers would also have significant negative impacts on nonprofit organizations conducting nonpartisan voter registration. The SAVE Act would effectively be the end of third-party voter registration drives, since election officials must review the proof of citizenship and no allowance is made for copies. Third-party groups will be unable to collect registration forms with an accompanying proof of citizenship. In addition, nonprofit organizations lose the ability to register voters online. They're trying to kill the Democratic Party, is what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. The SAVE Act makes no allowance for proof of citizenship to be submitted online. This would render the online voter registrations currently running in 42 states useless, forcing election officials to revert to far more costly and labor-intensive in-person registration. The two impacts above will radically upend the work of nonprofits doing voter registration across the country. Most nonprofits would be unable to do this. The most nonprofits would be able to do is talk about the importance of registering, educating voters of suppressing free speech is what we're doing. You can't tell people they can vote because the government says you can't tell people they can vote. Wow, government.
That's
Remember
suspicious.
the Republicans are against small government? Yeah, nothing like telling people that they can't tell people that they can vote. The SAVE Act, it's going to save the Republican Party, is all it's trying to save. The SAVE Act would also replace significant new burdens on election officials, likely increasing costs and administrative work for state and local governments. Because the bill requires documented proof of citizenship to be presented with a federal voter registration application. Election officials will need the redesigned process, verified documentation, managed. This doesn't even come close to being constitutional. Both income and education level are major factors determining whether or not someone has a passport. They're going to require you to get a passport. Get fucking serious. Voters with higher incomes or more education are more likely to have a passport. People with household incomes over 100,000, 3 times likely to have a current passport. Birth certificate requires requirements are bullshit too, even if voters can find them, are also problematic. People could be barred from voting because birth certificate name mismatches if they took their spouse's name or changed their name for other reasons. Among the various groups impacted, many as estimated 69 million American married women. Don't forget married men who take their wives' names, or just anybody who changes
or
their
the combo name, right? Where you
reason.
do both your names, the two last names, right? Combo name.
So the Republicans disenfranchising married women whose birth certificate. What if they misspelled your name on your birth certificate and you've been going with a different name, different spelling this whole time, right? Oh my God, yeah. That's not the same person. Here's the solution. You have one person on your voting rolls, right? I'm registered to vote here. I signed when I voted. That's required, okay? If my signature doesn't match the signature when I registered to vote, I don't get the vote. Or you throw my ballot to the side and count it later. This whole horse shit is already a solution. There's no problem that needs fixing. There's no solution that needs to be spawned here. There's nobody voting illegally except Republicans. The only ones who ever get caught are Republicans. That's a fact. Anyway, there are many Americans, including low-income individuals, younger first-time voters, and new citizen voters, who rely on third-party registration drive to bring them to the system that otherwise ignored them. Even if the documents could be submitted online, over 21 million otherwise eligible American voters don't have these proof or citizenship requirements readily available. So let's end the article on the fact that this is just a power grab. The Republicans are losing every election this year, every election. And the ones they're even losing elections in plus 20 Trump districts from 2024 in Louisiana, right? Louisiana, they had the nice blonde, whatever Republicans stand in for, I'll do whatever Trump wants. And then they get some, everybody votes for whoever it is. Anybody but a Trumpster. That's the rules now. The Republicans are going to get destroyed in this election. By the way, this bill is dead in the Senate. The Senate has what's called a filibuster that needs 60 votes, and the Republicans don't have 60 votes to stop the filibuster. So the Democrats can kill this bill. And it'll never be brought for a vote because, first of all, it's the Supreme Court, no matter how corrupt they are, it ain't none of their fucking business. It is not the federal government's business to decide who votes. And the Supreme Court already said that when they threw out the Voting Rights Act. They threw out the Voting Rights Act and said, the Voting Rights Act is illegal. It's the states get to decide their own elections. So how can the Supreme Court throw out the Voting Rights Act, get to decide that now we got a new Voting Rights Act that's going to stop people from voting, is more what in line the Constitution says. It's complete horseshit. The states get to run their own elections, according to the Constitution. End of frickin' story. This bill is going nowhere, but it just shows you where they are, right? Yeah. The rich people don't want you to vote. They don't want you to vote. They want to make sure you don't vote. And this is anti-poor people, more anti-poor people laws, just like every other law ever passed is anti-poor people. Don't you even think about that. It's there. You think the laws are there to protect somebody, protect you and me? Nah, they're there to protect wealth.
And of course, this reminds me of a song.
Yep.
You've got to fight.
Reminds you of a song, right on.
For your right to vote. That's my cover. The Alien Rod cover. You don't just roll over and say, well, I guess they're passing a law that makes me disenfranchised. Nah, tell them not on my fucking watch. And do something about it. I don't know what, but do something about it.
Take it from somebody who got disenfranchised in 2020 because there was mail-in ballots. Almost all Maryland was mail-in ballots because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I got my mail-in ballot, and then the envelope was completely sealed. I still got it under somewhere, which makes it virtually useless. I can't mail my ballot now because the envelope mail it back is sealed, and it can't be tampered with because that's a tampered with vote. So my vote I couldn't even vote. So I had to go on election day. I take my ballot there, and I said, hey, I need this sign. I need to fill out a provisional ballot because mine got destroyed before I got it. And they gave, well, you can report this. And I'm like, who am I going to report it to? They're going to do a DNA test on this envelope. What if they use one of those little sponge things? I can't do anything. So the office there saw I was a Democrat and decided to seal my envelope before they sent it to me so I couldn't vote. Now, that's the kind of shit that goes on. So So I had to do a provisional ballot. So provisional ballots are a thing, and they get counted last if there's a tie or whatever. But let's have us another spin, I guess.
Yeah, let's do another spin for my culture news. It's spinning time.
It's spinning time again. You're gonna leave me.
It's hypothetical. Come up with a hypothetical about this.
Oh, no.
So, good morning, Demigorge. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for being here to stand up for your right to vote. You're going to give me a hypothetical about this black author who didn't take shit for nobody and dared to be difficult, as I should say. This is by Namawali Serpel on The Guardian about Toni Morrison, the only black female writer to have won a Nobel Prize in Literature. There are many ways to be difficult in this world. You can be demanding, inconvenient, stubborn, complicated, troublesome, baffling, illegible. Black womanhood is one of the places where all these forms of difficulty seem to overlap. Namwali feels like she's known this, always known this, and has been a difficult time in her life than she can count. But she begins to understand, to discover the meaning and uses of her own difficulty because of Toni Morrison. Morrison has shaped the way we think about everything from literature to politics, criticism to ethics, to responsibilities of making art. In 1993, she became the only black woman ever to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. But the fact remains, she is difficult to read. She is difficult to teach. Notwithstanding the voluminous train of profile reviews and scholarly analysis that she drags behind her, she is difficult to write about. More to the point, she is the only canonical black female writer, and her work is highly complex. In a 1981 Vogue profile, Morrison spoke of a reader who had told her how difficult it was to understand black culture in her books. It was so removed from his experience. She had responded, "Boy, you must have had a hell of a time with Beowulf." That's a great reaction, right? That whole argument that people say, "Oh, I didn't really watch that film because it doesn't have white people in it." And it's like, what are you talking about? There's plenty of white people literature that you can't relate to, that you still enjoy reading and understanding because you'd learn to be in their shoes, right? That's the whole point of reading about different experiences in the same culture, so you can learn that there's different points of view of the culture you're in. The Vogue interviewer, missing the wit in his retort, commented, "Morrison has no patience with people who plead ignorance, but then she does not pride herself on being a patient woman. I find myself being more and more difficult," she says. "It's something I really relish." Morrison literacy difficulty was often translated this way into a personal difficulty, a moral failing. How dare she be impatient? Well, wouldn't you be? One reason for Morrison's air of pique was surely the strain of trying to balance the demands of multiple careers simultaneously. She was an editor, a professor, a writer, a critic, and a public intellectual. Having worked in these fields as well, and I'm not me, but Namwali, as Namwali also worked in these fields as well. Where was I? Oh. Wait, I lost where I was. Namwali also worked in those fields as well, knows how extending many branches can be a way of distracting yourself from a core vocation. The commitment to writing over all else is often viewed as selfish. When gender is factored into the equation, the charge can carry the stigma of illegitimacy. For a woman to say, "I am a writer," is difficult, Morrison noted succinctly. She struggled to accommodate these forms of often underpaid literary labor, with the unpaid domestic labor of raising two sons as a single mother. It was very difficult writing and rearing children because they all deserve all your time, and you don't have it. This occupational difficulty was exacerbated not only by the fact she was unique in her field, but also by the fact that she often willfully chose to go it alone. For example, she didn't tell anyone at her first job in trade publishing she was writing a novel until The Bluest Eye came out at another house. A troublesome as difficulty may have been for her professionally, Morrison generally delighted in the difficulty of other Black women artists, such as the novelist Gail Jones, whose work she edited and published, and the jazz pianist and composer Mary Lou Williams. For Morrison, the fact that they were considered difficult was a sign they had insisted on their art being taken seriously. You're not touching and changing my shit to be more consumable. If people want to consume it, they shall. To read Morrison herself with the seriousness that she deserves requires that we account for the knot or bind of gender and race she shared with them. It is not an easy one to untangle. As Morrison wrote in a 1971 New York Times op-ed about feminism, one must look very closely at the black woman herself. A difficult, inevitable, doomed proposition. For if anything is true of black women, it is how consistent they have deliberately, I suspect, defied classification. Don't you even try putting them in a box. Morrison's childhood stories read like photo negatives of the standard American race narrative. She spoke of her father's defensive racism, which prompted him to throw a predatory white landlord down the stairs. She spoke of her mother's insistence on integrating every new movie theater in town. She spoke of how when her pitch-black great-grandmother had first set eyes on Morrison and her sister, she said the girls had been tampered with, was meant racially. We were not pure, and she was. Oh yeah, I see. The kind of black purity, arguing for black purity. The dynamics of her mixed race family didn't match the norms either. Namali, wait, what did I say her name wrong again? Namwali has a Zambian mother for whom she is named, initially disapproved of her own mother's decision to marry a white man. Namali's mother's older sister refused to attend the wedding. Their moves to the UK and then to the US when she was a kid was a year back in Zambia, and when she was a teenager were punctuated by moments of racial absurdity. What are you, black or white? As if Namwali had a choice. Yet even now, at her grown age, the first response to racism is surprise. Despite the respective births in desperate times and places, Lorien, Ohio in 1931, Lusaka, Zambia in 1980, Namwali thinks Morrison and her both lucked into the strange privilege of zooming out from a boomerang and around race. This perhaps explained why neither of them tend to capitalize the word black when referring to people in writing. It concedes too much. It protests too much. Morrison temperamentally disliked being pigeonholed. I think most people do, but temperamentally, I think is the quote there. She was willing to accept the labels of race and gender only because, as she put it in a profile in the New Yorker, being a black woman writer is not a shallow place, but a rich place to write from. It doesn't limit my imagination, it expands it. She's often complained that literary criticism was unequipped to read black writing, which gets read as merely representative of the black experience, in both a tokenistic and identitarian senses. Black literature is taught as a sociology, as tolerance, not as a serious, rigorous art form, she said. Indeed, the ultimate source of Morrison's renowned difficulty was not her prickly personality, her intersexual identity, or even her sometimes contrarian politics. It was her commitment to reflecting the range and depth of black aesthetics, epitomized by jazz, which she called very complicated, very sophisticated, and very difficult. That is indeed what jazz is. That is a good metaphor in her own writing. She's the jazz writer of literature. Her close friend and writer, Fran Leibowitz, said upon Morrison's passing in 2019, "I know it sounds like a crazy thing to say, but I always thought Toni's writing was unappreciated, because people always look at it through the prism of her being black and being a woman. But Toni was a very experimental writer. There were a lot of things Toni did through her writing that just went unremarked upon. Because even if she was white, right, they would have been a crazy thing to write, and she wrote them. Many still dismiss Morrison's stature as either undeserved or obvious, as it surely so much praise either begs the question or settles it. They justify their disinclination to engage with the art itself by gesturing to what we call her DEI-fication or Oprah-pration, as if Toni Morrison became Toni Morrison through some kind of literary affirmative action plan. It's rumored that a black woman novelist on the board voted against her beloved receiving a National Book Award in 1987. A white colleague of mine at Namwali's white colleague from Harvard once told her he found beloved sentimental. It never occurred to Namwali or to him that Morrison had intentionally leaned into sentimentality for effect. She's heard eminent black male scholars joke about whether she had stolen the book's plot about a fugitive slave, about whether her literary ambition had made her a bad mother. Like, that's relevant, right? Nobody says that about, I don't know, famous author. What's his name? I can't think of any authors right now. No one says that about a male white author. I wonder if he was a bad dad because he was writing all the time. But I'm sure people have gotten that criticism. Morrison incensed all kinds of people. How dare she be a difficult writer and a black woman? How dare she refuse to placate or translate? How dare she demand to be taken seriously? How dare she be a black artist with real ideas? How dare she ask that she was actually read wrong or on its own terms? It cannot have been easy to be Toni Morrison. Yet, Namwali aspires to it. She yearns for the freedom she so beautifully embodied, to feel at ease and to be difficult. So, this was an extract, an edited extract, on Morrison by Namwali Serpell, which was published by Chanto and Windus. You can find the whole book and read about Toni Morrison there. And there's our Black History cultural moment. Toni Morrison, who was just an author, but got pigeonholed into being black and a woman.
So hypothetically, if you want to read, they say if you want to read the Iliad or the Odyssey, you need to read it in the original Greek. So there you go. There's your hypothetical. You should only read books in the original language.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, that reminds me of something I saw, which was probably a troll, I think. It was satire. We all assume it's satire, right? Somebody saying, the Bible should only be read in English, and it's an original English. And then everyone was going, it was originally written in like Latin and Greek and Hebrew, right? The original English is not applicable.
I think that was old chicken legs Christy known.
Yeah.
And she's about the puppy slayer.
Yeah, exactly.
The woman who's joining a Mile High Club with Corey Landowski in a government airplane and fired the pilot. We should have covered that story. She fired the pilot because you have a security blanket, right? You had a security blanket when you were a child, right? Mm-hmm. She didn't get her blankie on the airplane. So she fired the pilot. Unfortunately for her, the pilot says, well, nobody's going to fly your ass home now. So they had to rehire him. And I bet you that guy is right now filling out the paperwork.
Yeah.
Here's my complaint. I am going to get a shitload of settlement from the federal government for being fired by this psycho. Okay,
Indeed.
Christy Noman's going to prison. She's going to be in prison someday. Unless somebody pardons her.
Last segue for this day in history.
Don't forget, the Bible wasn't written in any language that is spoken today, except maybe some Greek. Right?
Yeah, maybe some
Aramaic,
ancient Greek, so, maybe some words made it back.
Hebrew's not spoken. Yeah, Hebrew's not spoken widely, neither is Aramaic. I guess Greek is, since a lot of it was written in Greek. But, God had a whole bunch of languages, apparently. I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Again, it's a book of fable. Not against the Bible, I just recognize it for what it is. It's a book of fables. And the people that try to imitate it as the real thing are barking up at the wrong tree. And by the way, if you're a Christian, why aren't you more Christ-like? That's what I always say about the people that claim to be Christian.
No, don't say that.
They hate people.
That's
as far
hard
as I know,
mode.
Christ didn't hate anybody. Jesus didn't profess hate
exactly,
at all.
if he's going to come back. You should assume everyone's Jesus.
This is my bingo card today on your Bible bingo card. The Bible reference. Let's do National Day in History.
And I've got Limerick for my segue.
Limerick, oh, you poor thing. You're always getting Limerick on the last section. What is that?
Hey, I like it because I get a lot of time to write them.
Yeah, but you end up writing 3, so that cuts into that. We don't have to write one. We're going to talk about February 16th, way back in the year. Oh my goodness, way back. Holy crap! How far back we going? 1620. Frederick William, the Great Elector of Brandenburg, in 1640 to 1688 was born. He restored the Hohenzollern dominions after devastation of the 30 Years' War. That was a lot of words. Brandenburg, I'm saying this took place in Germany. Other German news, Catherine Carnell was born this day in 1893, one of the most celebrated American stage actresses from the 20s and 30s. 20s to the 50s, I'm sorry. Catherine Cornell, I've never heard of her. So, stage actress, that's probably why. I didn't go to any stage plays in the 50s. I wasn't born yet. 1903, ventriloquist and comedian Edgar Bergen was born in Chicago. Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy was one of his dummies, and his other dummy was Mortimer Snerd. He had two dummies. And, of course, the father of who? Famous Murphy Brown actress, Candice Bergen. 1918, the 20-member Herr Raba Council of Lithuanian delegates proclaimed the country as an independent state. And the Soviet Union said, not so fast. 1923, the burial chamber of King Tutankhamun was unsealed by British archaeologist Howard Carter, and the curse that went with it. His discovery of the tomb in 1922 was one of the most celebrated contributions to Egyptology. Yay! We are looting tombs. Tomb Raiders. Tomb Raiders was invented. 1937, DuPont chemist Wallace Hume Carruthers patented nylon. So before then, if you wanted your legs to be warm and still see your legs, that just wasn't going to happen. 1938, under pressure from Adolf Hitler, Australian Chancellor Kurt von Schauschnig admitted an Austrian Nazi leader to its cabinet, believed to be the first step in Nazi Germany annexation of Austria. That didn't take very long, did it? Didn't you have to start a war for that one? 1945, American paratroopers landed in Corregidor Island in the mouth of Manila Bay in the Philippines during World War II. Within 2 weeks, they had recaptured from the Japanese, helping the Allies in an effort to recapture the Philippines and then fighting in the Pacific Theater. The Japanese, by 1945, were out of bombs. They were completely running out of bombs. And that's why the kamikaze was invented. Yeah, pilots killing themselves for really no good reason. They were going to lose the war, but Japan fought to the death. What can I say? We can talk about the Japanese prisoners of war that we took, but we didn't take a lot of them because they fought to the death. They would not surrender. It's really unfortunate that they were conned into thinking that, what I'm told, they were conned into thinking that Americans were going to eat them because they were giants. That's what I was told. So there were civilians jumping off cliffs when the Americans came to take over the island because the Americans were going to eat them. 1949, the first Knesset, or the Hebrew Assembly, on unicameral Parliament of Israel and supreme authority of that state opened in Jerusalem, or as we still call it, Palestine. I was going to rub that in. I'll call it Palestine as long as I fucking want to. What do you think of that? Come and get me. Oh, I shouldn't say that. They got Epstein, didn't they? The Mossad, right? He knew too many secrets. I'm gonna accuse them of that. Why the hell not? 1957, the British TV broadcaster BBC and ITV ended a post-war policy that prevented any programming between 6 and 7 at night, known as the Toddler's Truce. The break was designed to help parents put children to bed. And all the children did at 6 o'clock, all they ended up saying was, "Why isn't the TV working all of a sudden? I don't want to go to bed." That was the end of that. 1957, the British put an end to that nonsense. They figured out they could make a lot of money between 6 and 7. All right. And British, of course, run their own TV network. The government does. Not like it. Well, that's what we're doing in the United States now. At least some networks. Like CBS is run by the government. Fox is run by the government. Newsmax run by the government. 1959, American tennis player John McEnroe was born in West Germany. I did not know he was born in West Germany. He established himself a leading competitor in the late 1970s, while also becoming known for his unruly behavior on court. Here's my impersonation of John McEnroe. "You cannot be serious. You cannot be serious. That's for a line call. That's just for a line call. That's it. Lost his shit for a line call. I imagine this guy when he doesn't get to catch it for his fries. Right? John McEnroe, famously married now to rock star Patty Smythe, and he's mellowed out in his old age, hopefully. 1959, after defeating the forces of dictator General Fulgencio Batista, Fidel Castro became the premier of Cuba, Cuba, as they call it there, transferred the island country into the Western Hemisphere first communist state. And the real reason he became communist is because the United States cut him off. It's the absolute truth. The United States could have embraced Fidel Castro, but they were too worried about all the mobsters that got kicked out of Cuba and had to go to Florida. Oh no, the mobsters! My favorite mobster had to leave Cuba. The only reason we had anything against Cuba because all those gambling casinos shut down. 2005, the National Hockey League became the first North American professional sports league to cancel the entire season. I don't even remember this because I'm not a hockey fan, but I kind of remember it. Its entire 2004-2005 season was canceled after collective bargaining agreement between the unions and players ran out. And most of the players in the National Hockey League are not from the United States, so they just went back to their countries and made some money there. Yeah, they don't need the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League needs them. I don't see it the other way around. I don't think I'll ever will. These rich sports owners are getting a little carried away with their stupidity, and it's going to come crashing down on them at some point. 2005, the Kyoto Protocol, it's an international treaty aimed at reducing the emissions of global gases, went into effect. The United States decided after Stinky got in there that we're not going to do that. So we'll get back on it someday. We need to reduce emissions. It's a fact. 2016, the Buchos Gali died at the age of 93. The running David Letterman joke, where he has two first names, Buchos Gali. Or he's the name repeated twice. Anyway, he died at the age of 93. He was the UN Secretary General from 92 to 96. Vigorously supported UN mediation in the post-Cold War strife and oversaw lengthy and difficult peacekeeping operations in several countries. That's kind of what the UN gig is anyway. 2024, we did, and no, I'm not saying your name, Alexa, okay? It's Alexei Navalny, okay? Alexei Navalny died 2 years ago today at the age of 47 while serving in a Siberian penal colony. That piece of shit Putin put him in. You're right. Now stop talking.
Sorry, somebody started playing music on my window. I was looking out the window because I'm like, why is there this loud music playing out there? Somebody's listening to some really loud reggaeton. Okay.
Okay.
Three limericks for this day in history. The first one.
I'm not even close to done yet, but
you're not close. Oh, we're still talking? Okay. One more.
Not even close. Not even close. Yep. Abraham Lincoln, our featured event. Abraham Lincoln meets his pen pal in this day in 1861 as he was traveling to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration. President Abraham Lincoln stopped at Westfield, New York. I have a little correspondence in this place, he called out. If she is present, will she please come forward? That pen pal, 12-year-old Grace Bedell, made herself known. Lincoln can remember Bedell because in an 1860 letter to him, she suggested that he grow a beard. She thought it would help him win the presidency. Late in 1860, he did, and he won. And no one can say whether Bedell was actually the cause of Lincoln's beard, but in Westfield, he gave her the credit. You see, he said, pointing to his face, I let these whiskers grow for you, Grace. What a sweet man Abe Lincoln really was, right?
When presidents were not as shitty. So nice.
Yeah. Kim Jong-il's birthday. He was born in Siberia. What the hell? Was his father and mother and father in prison in Siberia? What the hell are they doing in Siberia? What was the North Korean leader doing in Siberia? What was his parents doing in Siberia in 1941? Interesting. He was born February 16, 1941. He died 2011 at the age of 70, then December 17. And our other birthdays today, Ernst Haeckel, German embryologist. George F. Kennan, Haeckel, born in 1834. 1904 is birthday of George F. Kennan, American diplomat and historian. Kim Jong-il, we did. John McEnroe, we did. The Weeknd, Canadian singer who I overlooked on my Canadian down a couple weeks ago. The Canadian singer of the weekend without an E. Without a 30, anyway. He was born this day in 1990, so he's turning 36. Our National Day calendar says it's President's Day. We know that in the U.S. A lot of people
Oh, that's
have this
true.
day
It's
off.
the third Monday of the February, right? That's when it usually is.
And it's also do a grouch a favor day, and it's National Almond Day. So do a grouch a favor. It's got the picture of a white cat with an angry face.
The angry
So if
cat,
you got a
the
grouch in your
grouchy
life,
cat,
and
the
I
famous
think-
grouchy cat.
I guess do grouch a favor. I have no idea why you would. You're
Yeah.
not going to get rewarded for it.
Give Roger some $10. There you go, favor.
I'm definitely not a grouch. If you think I'm a grouch, you haven't met the real grouches. National Almond Day. So those are your days, your metaphors, whatever. For today, February 16, 2026, on Before Almonds.
Woo!
Okay, so
Look at all
limerick
those
time.
things
Now you can
today. I've got 3 limericks for you based on today,
All right.
at least 3 things today. The first limerick is, in Westfield, a letter did land from Lincoln with quill in his hand. To a pen pal so dear, he wrote with good cheer, a friendship that none could withstand. There you go.
None with withstand. Withstand? That's a tough word to use. Okay.
He obviously wrote it with a quill,
Right, there's
you know. Another limerick.
limerick.
In Toronto, a star found
Oh,
his
all right.
tune with rhythms that make the night swoon. His falsetto so bright in the club's neon light. The weekend brings heat like a monsoon. I thought that line was so funny. He brings heat like
you
a
have another one?
monsoon. And finally, the orchards were where almonds once thrived, the farmers for profit derived, but water they drained and nature was stained. Now ecosystems cry, we survived! Because as everyone knows, here on Before Coffee, we are anti-almond farmers. So you can eat almonds, you can enjoy them, but don't fucking farm them for profit, assholes.
Well, we got to do
can
something
farm
about
them too,
almonds.
just
Let's
not
make
for profit.
almond milk. Yeah. They got people suckered into drinking almond milk. Which,
Yep.
man, God, how much water do you waste creating an almond milk?
Too many. For our
Yeah.
International Day calendar, let me open that up real quick. Where are you? You're over here. For our International Day calendar, we've got nothing for you. So that's
Right
it.
on.
That's the end of the show. That's Mucking Fonday. We hope we know what's going on,
Mic drop.
and we'll see you tomorrow for Good Tuesday News Day earlier than usual because I have to go outside
Yeah.
and hang out with people,
You take the,
and so I'll see you.
with the touch grass.
What is this? 4 hours earlier than usual is when I'll be doing Before Coffee.
Oh my!
Yeah,
Thanks for
because I want to
warning.
leave the house by 3, and that's even before we start Before Coffee. So, Good Tuesday News Day. We'll have all the good positive news you need to hear. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not subscribed. We need more people. Subscribe to the Before Coffee podcast channel so that YouTube knows and the algorithm knows that people enjoy watching us. Thank you everyone who's already following, subscribed, turn on those notifications if you want to know when we go live and post a video. Thank you for everyone on Patreon who's supporting the show. It's 17 people, by the way, are supporting Before Coffee podcast. And I could read them out, but this show's long enough without having to read out 17 people's names.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
All right,
here
so thank you,
is
17 times.
our Olympic mic drop moment.
I haven't done it once. You can.
You haven't done it once?
I haven't done it once.
Okay.
Strong words from Canadian curler Mark Kennedy
forget the
after
Canadians did the
accusations
first
of
war
cheating by
crime.
Sweden's Oscar Eriksson.
Come on, Oscar. Just
Our team wouldn't cheat and doesn't cheat.
What he was doing was he was pushing the
in
stone
my
with his finger
standpoint,
after you let go
fully
of it.
supportive of them and
Right.
everything that they're
You
doing
can't
here
touch
this
the
week and
stone
what
after you
they're
let go
trying to
of it.
accomplish.
Both Canada's men's and women's team have been accused of the same infraction, known as double touching.
You can see it on the
Yeah,
super
you can
slow
see
motion
it, too.
replay. But I don't think there was
Damn.
any intention to cheat or to fix something.
In curling, this is the hog line. When a
This is
player throws the
crazy.
stone, they are allowed to touch it as many times as they want before it crosses the line. Once it crosses the line, if a player touches it, even for a late release, that's
If any
considered a
part of it
double touch
crosses the line,
violation.
Yes.
not just the
The
whole
result
thing.
of that,
Yeah.
the stone gets removed from the game.
Okay.
On Saturday, Canada's Rachel Homan had a rock removed after a double touch call. Kennedy's throw wasn't caught by officials,
There it
but
is,
was
right
captured on
there.
video by someone in the stands.
That's
For
right
my
before it
man
crossed
to
the line.
add 6
Yeah,
feet by
I don't know.
pointing
They're
out
being
really trust
sticklers.
crazy. I would say
Close.
he's got a bad
Yeah, they're
habit.
being
I would
sticklers.
say Rachel Holman, she was a little bit lazy letting go
Yeah,
of a
I was
rock
hoping for
yesterday.
a
And sure,
fist
she
fight. That
touched
would
it
have
with her
been
finger.
really
You
the
can
good
see.
thing.
Still,
Yeah,
in the
like
wake
her-
of
Bringing it in
controversy,
hockey.
2 umpires have been
Her-
removed. Something Canada's coach thinks
Thumb
will be better
grazed
for the
it,
game.
right? Like
I
pushed
think
it
what
at
you're
the
going to see
end.
is a lot of teams just say, you know what, we're good, and we're going to try to play this game on our own.
Despite being perennial favorites, Canadian curling teams aren't dominating the games as they were expected to. The mixed doubles team
Maybe
didn't
because
play
they keep
for a
on
medal.
getting
The women's team are
cut.
now right on the bubble, and the men's team will have to stay consistent if they want to come home with new hardware.
But see,
That's
there
the
are
new
good people
sport.
on the
They
team.
invented it. That's what they're meant. That's what happens when you invent the sport, Canada, right? Other countries get better at it. You gotta have
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.